What would happen if the Boötes Void, the largest empty region ever discovered in the universe, were in fact not empty at all, but hiding a threat to all of humanity? Once believed to be nothing more than a region devoid of matter, the Boötes Void has gradually revealed itself as an anomaly that shakes the very foundations of our understanding of the cosmos, spanning hundreds of millions of light-years, nearly empty according to theory, yet containing ancient galaxies arranged in precise geometric structures, emitting periodic radio signals, cooling space below the limits permitted by modern physics, and displaying clear signs of an active system. Hidden deep within that immense darkness is a chain of phenomena that contemporary science cannot explain matter, vanishing without a trace, galaxies seemingly imprisoned within an unnatural order, energy operating with an alarmingly precise rhythm, and evidence that space-time itself is being interfered with on a cosmic scale. The Boötes Void is no longer a solitary astronomical phenomenon, but the manifestation of a process that is accelerating, quietly approaching a decisive moment. So what is truly hiding inside the Boötes Void? We are about to explore it right now. In 1981, the cosmos issued a silent indictment against our understanding of reality, a chilling revelation that began when astronomers pointed their telescopes at a seemingly mundane patch of darkness between constellations and found a nightmare of nothingness. It was supposed to be routine work, a mapping of galaxy positions, where Robert Kirshner and his team expected to see the universe's tapestry, woven with the usual scatter of stars and light. Instead, their instruments struck a void, not a mere gap, but a sphere of emptiness so vast it defied every law of cosmic evolution we had spent centuries refining. They checked their equipment 3 times, hoping for a mechanical failure, but the readings remained stubbornly terrifyingly consistent, a region where galaxies simply ceased to exist. The scale of this great nothing, named the Boötes Void after the constellation where it hides, is an affront to human comprehension. Imagine our entire Milky Way galaxy with its 200 billion stars as the size of a single quarter. You would need to line up 33 million of those quarters edge to edge to cross this abyss. Light itself, the fastest messenger in the universe, travelling at 671 million mph, requires 330 million years to make the journey from one side of this vacuum to the other. When the light now reaching our telescopes began its crossing, the most complex life on Earth was barely single-celled. By the time it finished, entire species had evolved and vanished into extinction multiple times over. According to the average cosmic density that governs the rest of the observable universe, this volume of space should be home to a minimum of 2,000 galaxies. Yet when the team counted the actual residents, they found only 60. This means 97% of the matter that should be there. Thousands of massive galaxy superclusters containing millions of stars has either vanished or never formed in the first place. This discovery sent shockwaves through the scientific community because such a vacuum is not a statistical quirk. It is a violation. It is like predicting a human can grow 6 feet tall and then discovering a Titan that stands 12 feet high. We call it the Boötes Void, and for decades we comforted ourselves with the idea that it was just empty space doing what empty space does, until we realized that this Ham Gutkua Tuong Je, God's oubliette, was not truly silent. For 40 years we stared into that darkness, assuming it was a cosmic accident, a rare roll of the dice in a chaotic universe. But recently we detected something inside, something that pulses with energy, something that moves with coordinated intent, and something that, according to every law of physics, cannot exist in a place that empty. The few galaxies that remain are not randomly scattered survivors. They cluster along the void's edges in thin chains, oriented as if they are fleeing from something at the centre, or perhaps as if they are being held in place by an invisible geometric hand. The question has shifted from why this region is empty to what exactly is hiding inside its shadows. Because empty space does not emit signals, it does not organise itself into patterns, and it certainly does not possess a heartbeat. Whatever we have found lurking in the deep within that emptiness is performing an operation of incomprehensible scale, and we need to understand what happens next before the countdown concludes. This sphere of almost perfect emptiness, hanging like a missing tooth in the smile of the cosmos, represents a breakdown where the normal rules of the universe simply stop applying. As we peel back the layers of this mystery, we find that the void is not a passive hole in reality, but an active, expanding predator that is only just beginning to reveal its true face. The existence of the Boötes Void is not merely a curiosity, it is a direct assault on our standard recipe for the universe. Our current cosmological models function like a precise clockwork mechanism, where the Big Bang dark matter and dark energy interact over 13.8 billion years to weave a cosmic web, a vast network of galaxy filaments connected like spider silk. Within this web, gravity naturally carves out empty pockets as it pulls matter into denser clusters. However, the math dictates a strict limit to this process. The largest voids allowed by our physics should measure no more than 150 to 200 million light-years across. The Boötes Void, at a staggering 330 million light-years, effectively doubles the maximum size permitted by the laws of cosmic evolution. This is not a minor discrepancy. It is a catastrophic failure of our predictive models. When astronomers run the calculations backward, they find that creating a void of this magnitude requires either significantly more time than the universe has existed, or forces much stronger than gravity can provide. Gravity has a specific speed at which it can move matter. In the time since the Big Bang, there simply hasn't been enough duration for gravity to sweep such a massive volume of space so clean. It is a hole in reality that violates the rules of the game, sitting in the cosmos like a physical impossibility that refuses to disappear. To explain this anomaly, some physicists have proposed that dark energy, the force pushing space apart, might have concentrated in this specific zone, inflating the void beyond typical limits. Yet this hypothesis falters against the cold reality of mathematics. Even with maximum dark energy concentration, the void cannot reach this size without breaking other fundamental cosmic constraints. Others suggest it began as a statistical fluke on a massive scale, a region that started with much less matter than average. However, the probability of such an event is calculated to be essentially zero, the equivalent of winning the cosmic lottery billions of times in a row. The void's refusal to behave simply implies that our understanding of how the universe organizes itself is fundamentally flawed, or that something else happened here that we have yet to discover. Voids are supposed to be passive inactive regions, but the Boötes Void stands apart as an active anti-galaxy, where dark energy has decisively won its tug-of-war against gravity. It sits beyond the distribution range our models predict, and its exceptional growth rate suggests it may have been formed by a bubble collision in the first moments after the Big Bang. If two expanding bubbles of space collided and merged during cosmic inflation, they could have left behind this enormous underdense scar, a primordial rupture that continues to expand. Whatever its origin, the Boötes Void serves as a terrifying reminder that the normal rules of the universe can stop applying in certain special regions. It stands out like a missing tooth in the cosmic smile, proving that our universe can create environments where standard physics breaks down. As we delve deeper into this investigation, we are forced to consider if this impossible emptiness is a natural outlier or the result of an intervention that operates outside our universe's normal physics. If the sheer scale of the Boötes Void is a trauma to our understanding of cosmic structure, the 60 galaxies huddled within its borders are the haunting witnesses to a crime against physics. These are not merely survivors of a cosmic desert, they are anomalies that refuse to fit the evolutionary biography of our universe. In any other region of space, a volume this immense should be teeming with light, a vibrant tapestry of at least 2,000 galaxies. Instead, we find skeletal remains, a mere 3% of the expected population. But the mystery deepens not just in their scarcity, but in their behavior, their age, and their impossible arrangement. When we map these 60 lonely structures, we find they are not randomly scattered like seeds in the wind. Instead, they are organized into thin, fragile filaments, chains of light that look like beads on a string. Most disturbingly, they avoid the center of the void, entirely clustering along the inner walls, as if they are fleeing from something at the heart of the emptiness. This distribution makes no gravitational sense. If they had formed naturally, they should be distributed more evenly, or falling toward the center where the gravitational potential is lowest. Instead, they cling to the edges, acting as the mummified relics of a lost era. The physical nature of these galaxies is the second major clue in this cosmic cold case. Spectroscopic analysis reveals that these 60 captives are predominantly ancient elliptical galaxies filled with stars that are 10 to 12 billion years old. This is a profound paradox because cosmic voids are supposed to be environments where gas is cold and minimal interactions favor the ongoing formation of young blue galaxies. Yet inside Boötes we find the opposite, retirement homes for stars that finished their life cycles billions of years ago, they look like they belong in the heart of a dense, crowded galaxy cluster, where intense interactions shut off star formation. How did these ancient titans end up here? If they migrated from outside clusters, the journey would have taken several billion years, during which they should have encountered fresh gas and reignited their star formation. But they show no signs of recent life. They are pure, unadulterated relics. This suggests two chilling possibilities. Either they were moved here by a force we cannot conceive, or the time within the void itself flows at a different rate. Some researchers propose that a localized field or process accelerated their evolution, causing stars to live and die at a frantic pace, leaving behind these crimson husks while the rest of the universe aged normally. The final anomaly is their coordination. Across millions of light-years of empty space, the rotational axes of these galaxies show a statistically improbable alignment. In a natural universe, galaxies rotate randomly, their orientations dictated by chaotic turbulence. But the captives of Boötes are choreographed, behaving as if they are all responding to the same external influence. Furthermore, their velocities suggest they are feeling the tug of immense gravitational forces from matter that simply is not there. They are the lattice nodes, the first visible layer of a structure that defies nature itself, participating in a broadcast that is only now reaching our ears. If the presence of the galaxies themselves constitutes a mystery, their behaviour suggests something far more sinister, a coordinated manipulation of light on a scale that dwarfs human imagination. 3 years ago, while performing routine observations with the Hubble Space Telescope, astronomers recorded an event that shattered the assumption of the void's passivity. One of the 60 internal galaxies began to dim its total light output, dropping by a precise 8% over the course of 6 hours, before slowly recovering to its original luminosity. While such a dip might initially be dismissed as a random occultation by a foreground object, the event repeated 2 months later, with identical magnitude, duration, and curve shape. This was not a random collision of shadows, it was a periodic eclipse. The investigation deepened as monitoring programs expanded to cover all 60 internal galaxies. The data revealed that 17 of these galaxies exhibit the same dimming events. Most disturbingly, they do not pulse in isolation. They follow a pattern where Galaxy A dims, followed 3 days later by Galaxy B, then 5 days after that by Galaxy C. This entire sequence of 17 galaxies completes its circuit every 78 days with a precision that never varies. To witness 17 distinct structures separated by millions of light-years dimming in a non-random predictable order is to observe a network in operation. The physical requirements for this dimming are catastrophic. An 8% loss of light from an entire galaxy is an incomprehensible quantity of energy to obscure. We are not discussing a single star being eclipsed by a planet, but a blockage so immense it covers hundreds of thousands of light-years. For a natural object to achieve this, it would need to be larger than the galaxy it eclipses, yet the region is defined by its emptiness. Even if the mass of every known galaxy in the void were combined into a single object, it would still fail to provide enough material to cast such a shadow. This leaves us with chilling interpretations. Some researchers propose we are seeing the interference of dark matter waves, moving through the void in sequence, forming a coordinated ocean of invisible mass that lenses the background light. Yet the perfect timing and non-dispersive nature of these events stretch our understanding of dark matter to the breaking point. The alternative hypothesis suggests we are detecting megastructures, artificial constructions built by advanced civilizations. If intelligent beings engineered enormous arrays of objects in specific orbits, they could create these precise periodic dimming events for purposes that remain beyond our reach. The most troubling interpretation is that the dimming reveals something massive moving through the void, an entity or phenomenon that passes in front of these 17 affected galaxies in sequence. We are watching something incomprehensibly large travel through the emptiest region of space, following a path that brings it near each of these galaxies in turn. Whether this is a physical entity or a shifting field of energy, it operates on a schedule we can now predict. As each cycle completes and the next begins, we're forced to accept that the Boötes Void is not a graveyard of dead stars but a functioning machine, its components participating in a circuit we're only just beginning to observe. As astronomers grappled with the visual anomalies of the disappearing light, they realized that staring into the darkness was no longer enough. They had to listen. In 2022, using the Very Large Array in New Mexico radio telescopes, were pointed at the absolute voids between the 60 known galaxies. The expectation was silence the static of a dead vacuum. Instead, they detected a structured radio emission, originating from the deep interior, a signal broadcast at 1.4 GHz, a frequency famously clean of cosmic interference and often used in the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. The signal was not a random burst of energy. It followed a terrifyingly precise rhythm. It would broadcast for exactly 43 minutes, shut off completely, and then reappear exactly 14 days later with a variation of less than 3 minutes. In the natural world, radio waves are the chaotic byproducts of matter in distress gas clouds being torn apart, pulsars spinning with violent momentum, or black holes feeding on unfortunate stars. But this signal possessed a level of modulation and intensity variation that suggested it was encoding information, a behavior that resembles an artificial radio station more than a natural celestial object. The location of this source presents a geometric nightmare. It originates from a point roughly 60 million light-years inside the void, sitting equidistant from 3 of the dimming galaxies. When researchers mapped the positions of the radio source alongside the affected galaxies, they discovered that these points do not form a random cluster. Instead, they form a 3-dimensional lattice, a crystalline arrangement of nodes spanning 100 million light-years. Natural cosmic structures dictated by the tug of gravity form irregular clumps and jagged filaments. They do not organize themselves into perfect geometric lattices unless a deliberate force is shaping them. The mathematical relationship between the 14-day broadcast and the 78-day dimming cycle is equally improbable, suggesting that these two phenomena are not coincidental but coordinated. Some scientists propose we are detecting an automated beacon, a relic of an ancient technology left by a civilization that has long since transcended our reality. For a broadcast to persist with this precision for billions of years requires energy sources and self-repairing mechanisms that exceed our current comprehension of engineering. However, a more disturbing observation has emerged recently. The signal strength is increasing. Each 14-day cycle arrives roughly 2% louder than the last. At this rate of growth, the signal will reach a full intensity 10 times its current strength within 5 years. This timing is a statistical impossibility if the source were an ancient decaying relic. It implies that we are not witnessing the fading echo of a dead civilization, but the activation phase of something that has been dormant for eons. The Boötes Void is waking up, and the lattice is beginning to communicate on a frequency that cuts through the universe like a siren, announcing that the construction phase is ending and the real operation is about to begin. While the isolated signals and the rhythmic dimming provided the first clues of organization, it was the discovery of what lies between the galaxies that confirmed the Boötes. Void is a singular functioning entity. Deep radio imaging has revealed faint filaments, ethereal threads of material spanning the immense gaps between the 60 known galaxies. These are not the chaotic irregular gas clouds found in the normal cosmic web. They are precise directional bridges that link the 60 galaxies into a structured 3-dimensional polyhedral arrangement. When mapped in its entirety, this network forms a geometric lattice so symmetrical it resembles a crystalline structure scaled up to 100 million light-years in size. These filaments emit synchrotron radiation, a phenomenon created when charged particles spiral through magnetic fields at nearly relativistic speeds. This discovery was the smoking gun for an active process. Magnetic fields of this magnitude require a source, yet the void is empty of the stars and gas that typically generate them. Even more shocking is the detection of actual electrical currents coursing through these cosmic axons. We are measuring current in billions of amperes, an amount of power capable of sustaining civilizations flowing across the vacuum of space. The lattice behaves with a level of low entropy and high symmetry that is never seen in nature. In the standard universe, gravity pulls matter into irregular clumps. In Boötes, something has guided these 60 galaxies into specific slots within a pre-existing lattice. Scientists have observed that these galaxies are slowly drifting into even more perfect geometric positions year by year, as if the structure is self-correcting or refining its final configuration. This level of precision requires fine-tuning the ability to calculate and implement exact physical values across millions of light-years, a hallmark of intelligence, rather than random cosmic evolution. The implications of this power grid are staggering. Some researchers propose that the 1.4 GHz radio source acts as a central generator, transmitting power through the filament network to the individual galaxies. If this is true, the 60 galaxies are not merely islands of stars, They are the active components of a machine consuming power equal to millions of suns. They may be functioning as nodes in a cosmic-scale supercomputer, or as neurons in a vast, slow-thinking brain where thoughts propagate as electrical signals through the filaments. We are witnessing a system that is ramping up. The synchrotron emissions from the filaments are brightening every year, indicating an increase in charged particle flow and electrical power. Within decades, these threads may become visible to optical telescopes, revealing a glowing, geometric skeleton etched into the darkness of the sky. The Boötes Void is no longer just a place where galaxies are missing. It is a place where a new kind of architecture has been built, a machine that has been under construction for eons and is now entering its final high-energy phase of operation. The most chilling evidence that the Boötes Void is an engineered system lies in its violation of the fundamental laws of thermodynamics. In our universe, temperature is a measure of particle motion, and even the deepest reaches of intergalactic space possess a baseline warmth. This warmth is provided by the cosmic microwave background radiation, the afterglow of the Big Bang that permeates every cubic centimetre of the cosmos. This radiation maintains a universal floor of 454 degrees Fahrenheit, a temperature just barely above absolute zero. According to every known physical principle, empty space cannot naturally fall below this temperature because it is constantly bathed in this ancient light. Yet measurements taken toward the interior of the Boötes Void reveal a terrifying anomaly, a region that is consistently colder than the universe itself. Recent spectroscopic data confirms that the interior of the void registers at 456 degrees Fahrenheit, 2 degrees colder than the cosmic microwave background allows. This discrepancy is not a statistical error, it is a physical impossibility in a passive universe. To achieve a temperature lower than one's surroundings requires active cooling, the mechanical extraction of energy from a system to be dumped elsewhere. In essence, the Boötes Void is not merely empty, it is being refrigerated. The spatial distribution of this cooling provides the blueprint for the machine's operation. The temperature does not drop uniformly across the 330 million light-year expanse. Instead, the coldest zones are precisely concentrated around the nodes of the geometric lattice, where the 60 captive galaxies reside. The filaments connecting these galaxies show intermediate levels of cooling, while the vast open spaces between the lattice elements remain closer to the standard cosmic baseline. This pattern suggests that the lattice itself is acting as a gargantuan heat exchanger, a cosmic-scale refrigerator that extracts thermal energy from the very fabric of space-time and channels it through the filament network. But thermodynamics dictates that energy cannot be destroyed, it can only be moved. If the lattice is stripping heat from the void, that energy must be going somewhere. Yet when astronomers scan the region across all wavelengths from radio waves to X-rays, they find no evidence of waste heat being radiated back into our universe. The energy is simply vanishing. This leads to the startling hypothesis that the Boötes Void is an interdimensional heat sink. The lattice may be extracting energy from our three-dimensional reality and dumping it into higher dimensions or a parallel universe where different physical laws apply. The purpose of this massive energy extraction is deeply concerning. Some researchers propose that the lattice is accumulating this energy, storing 13 billion years worth of cosmic heat to power a process of unimaginable scale. Others suggest the cooling itself is the primary goal, just as a supercomputer requires advanced cooling systems to prevent its processors from melting. The geometric lattice may require near absolute zero temperatures to perform its intended function, whether that be complex computation or the maintenance of a gateway between realities. The most disturbing development is that this cooling is accelerating. Measurements taken over the last decade show the void growing colder at a rate that exceeds all previous observations. The machine is ramping up its extraction, and current trends suggest the region could reach true absolute zero within a few thousand years, a state that quantum mechanics says is impossible in our space-time. We are witnessing the final stages of a billion-year thermal preparation. As the void approaches the threshold of absolute stillness, we must ask what happens when the machine finally reaches its operating temperature and the real work begins. The scale of the Boötes Void is not just a spatial anomaly, it represents a catastrophic deficit in the mass budget of the observable universe. When astronomers calculate the gravitational weight of this region, using gravitational lensing, the technique of measuring how mass bends background light, they encounter a reality that contradicts everything we see through visible telescopes. While the void appears empty, The way it distorts space-time suggests a massive ghost presence. Yet even this invisible mass cannot account for what is truly missing. Based on the average density of the cosmic web, this volume of space should contain the equivalent of 10,000 galaxy clusters. Instead, we find a hollowed-out husk where trillions of stars and millions of planets have simply vanished from our reality. Energy conservation is the most fundamental law of physics. Matter and energy cannot simply cease to exist. This leads to a terrifying conclusion: the missing mass was not lost to time, it was taken. This great theft involves 10,000 galaxy clusters worth of material that never arrived at their gravitational destinations or were extracted after formation. Some cosmologists propose that we are witnessing the aftermath of a cosmic catastrophe, such as a collision with antimatter or a vacuum decay bubble, but such events would leave behind a telltale signature of gamma radiation or glowing boundaries. The Boötes Void, however, remains cold and silent, suggesting a process of extraction so efficient it defies our understanding of thermodynamics. The distribution of the remaining matter and the anomalous gravitational lensing provide a map of this theft. The mass deficit is deepest at the nodes of the geometric lattice, precisely where the 60 captive galaxies are positioned. It appears as though matter was harvested according to a meticulous plan, stripped from the void and converted into energy to power the construction of the lattice itself. If 10,000 galaxy clusters were converted into fuel, the resulting power would be sufficient to manipulate space-time on a multidimensional scale. This leads us to the hypothesis of the cosmic wound, or a parallel universe collision. If our universe collided with another at this location during the epoch of cosmic inflation, the impact might have created a permanent bridge or a weakness in the dimensional barrier. The missing dark matter, which has vanished at a rate of 75% compared to normal voids, might have leaked through this wound into a higher dimension or an adjacent reality. The Boötes Void is not just a hole, it is a drain. The engineering required to stabilize such a rupture is incomprehensible. Nature does not remove matter in perfect geometric patterns, only intelligence optimizes for efficiency. The 10,000 missing clusters represent the ultimate sacrifice of material to achieve a specific, perhaps catastrophic outcome. Whether this matter was stolen to build a fortress for a civilization escaping their own dying universe, or to fuel an invasion into ours, the ghost mass remains as a silent testament to a project that began billions of years before Earth was formed. We are looking at an active engineering project, where the very building blocks of the universe, stars, gas and dark matter, have been treated as raw industrial materials. Every year the void weighs slightly less as the extraction continues, removing a few galaxy masses at a time. The countdown is no longer a metaphor. It is a measure of the remaining material before the region reaches a critical threshold of instability. As the great theft nears its conclusion, the void is preparing for a transition that our simulations suggest will break the fabric of reality itself. The most terrifying realization in the study of the Boötes Void comes not from what we observe, but from what our most advanced mathematics refuses to predict. Computer simulations are the crystal balls of modern astronomy. We program the known laws of physics into supercomputers to forecast how cosmic structures will evolve over eons. These simulations can map the fate of the universe from the Big Bang to its ultimate heat death with remarkable precision. However, when scientists input the current data from the Boötes Void, the geometric lattice, the anomalous cooling, and the accelerated growth, the simulations crash. The equations literally break down, yielding infinities and impossible values that suggest a total disintegration of the local spacetime fabric. In the world of mathematics, such a crash is the signature of a singularity, a point where the curvature of spacetime becomes infinite and the classical laws of physics cease to function. Normally, singularities are hidden deep within the heart of black holes, shielded from the rest of the universe by an event horizon. But the Boötes Void is manifesting something far more dangerous, a naked singularity. There is no crushing mass of a dying star here, no runaway gravity to explain this collapse. Instead, the very emptiness of the void is generating a rupture in reality. The cause of this impending collapse appears to be the void's abnormal expansion rate. While standard cosmic voids grow slowly as dark energy pushes matter away, historical data reveals that the Boötes Void is expanding nearly 10,000 times faster than physics allows. In just the last 40 years of human observation, its diameter has increased by 10 million light-years. This growth is not uniform. It is accelerating year by year, stretching the void into an increasingly elongated shape toward a central point of pressure. At this rate, the void is not just growing, it is exploding in extreme slow motion, As the void expands, it is cannibalizing the surrounding galaxy walls, pulling matter inward, even as dark energy tries to push it out. This backward gravitational behavior suggests that the geometric lattice is acting as a massive pump drawing in resources to fuel its final configuration. Our simulations predict that within 500 million years, a mere blink in cosmic time, the 60 captive galaxies will meet at a common center. This convergence will not result in a peaceful merger. It will trigger the formation of the singularity. A naked singularity in the middle of observable space would allow for violations of causality, time travel paradoxes, and the leaking of foreign physics from other dimensions into our own. The lattice seems to be fine-tuning the region to achieve this exact outcome, walking a razor-thin edge between matter extraction and space-time integrity. We are watching a billion-year engineering project approach its activation event. We are running out of time to understand this process. The void is creating its own horizon, a limit past which human science cannot see. As the hum from gravitational wave detectors intensifies and the temperature approaches absolute zero, the countdown to the singularity enters its final phase. We are witnessing the birth of an event that should be physically impossible, a localized breakdown of the universe's source code. When the math finally fails and the singularity opens, we will learn if the Boötes Void was a cradle for a new reality or a grave for our own. The Boötes Void has ceased to be a mere astronomical curiosity. It has become a herald and announcement that our universe contains depths we never imagined and scripts we did not write. For decades we stood before this 330 million light-year expanse of darkness, assuming it was an isolated anomaly, a one-in-a-universe oddity. But the discovery of 3 other structured voids, the Eridanus Sculptor and Cain's Venatici voids, proves that Boötes is not unique. It is the largest and most mature member of a family of cosmic structures that are actively organizing themselves across the sky. We are witnessing an infrastructure, a network of nodes spanning billions of light years that has existed beneath our notice for eons. The temporal sequence revealed by these voids is staggering. By measuring their distances, we are effectively looking back in time. Cain's Venatici shows us the early stages of structure, while Boötes represents a system nearing 90% completion. We are passengers on a brief instant of human evolution, arriving just in time to watch a billion-year engineering project enter its final activation phase. The signals are intensifying, the filaments are brightening, and the geometric lattice is self-correcting into its final optimal configuration. The countdown is no longer a metaphor. The structure is predicted to reach maturity within a decade, perhaps even sooner. The implications for humanity are both terrifying and transcendent. If these structures are artificial, they represent an intelligence so far beyond us that we are like bacteria discovering a power grid. They manipulate galaxies as we manipulate atoms, and they engineer space-time as we engineer iron. We must face the possibility that the universe is not a simple natural expansion but a processed reality, a facility being prepared for a purpose we cannot fathom. Some scientists argue for active contact, hoping to learn from the architects of the void, while others counsel silence, fearing we are infants shouting in a dark forest occupied by titans. However, the cosmic wound and parallel universe theories offer a different perspective on our role. If Boötes is a scar from a collision with another reality, then humanity is the first species in our universe to develop the instruments sophisticated enough to diagnose the injury. We are the observers who have finally recognized that the laws of physics are not constant, but are being actively rewritten in the dark patches of the sky. Whether the void is a survival lifeboat meant to protect life from a coming cosmic catastrophe, or a bridge for an invasion from a parallel cosmos, our discovery of it changes the trajectory of human history. We stand at a threshold. Behind us lies the familiar universe of predictable stars and stable physics. Ahead lies a reality where the void is not empty, but brimming with the future. The great nothing is waking up, and as the signals from the lattice intensify, we are forced to accept that we are no longer alone in an indifferent cosmos. We are witnesses to a transformation that began before our planet existed and will conclude within our lifetimes. The Boötes Void has shown us the fingerprints of the intruders, the footprints of the architects, and the blueprints of a new reality. We found something hiding in the void, and now that it knows we're watching the universe will never be the same again. As we stand at the precipice of this cosmic revelation, the Boötes Void remains more than a mere gap in the celestial map. It is a profound testament to the limits of human understanding and the vast untapped potential of the universe. For decades, our species looked upon the stars and assumed that the laws we derived in our small corner of the Milky Way were absolute. We built our civilizations, our technologies, and our philosophies on the bedrock of a predictable, homogeneous cosmos. Yet the great nothing has shattered that complacency, serving as a silent, gargantuan witness to the fact that reality is far more complex and perhaps far more purposeful than we ever dared to imagine. The journey through the Boötes Void is a journey into the heart of a cosmic mystery that refuses to stay buried. From the initial shock of its discovery in 1981 to the recent chilling detection of energy pulses and geometric lattices, every layer of the void we peel back reveals a structure that defies natural evolution. We have moved from a state of curiosity to a state of profound investigation, realizing that the 60 galaxies trapped within this abyss are not just remnants of a bygone era, but active participants in a system that spans hundreds of millions of light years. These mummified elliptical galaxies with their synchronized rotations and impossible placements stand as markers of an engineering project that predates complex life on Earth. The anomalies we have uncovered, the 1.4 GHz radio broadcasts, the 78-day dimming cycles, and the heat-sinking properties that drive temperatures below the baseline of the universe suggest that we are not merely observing a phenomenon but a machine. The Boötes Void appears to be a localized breach in the fabric of our three-dimensional reality, a place where energy and matter are being harvested or repurposed, with a precision that speaks of an intelligence far beyond our own. Whether this is the work of a Type Yaf civilization on the Kardashev scale, or a natural rupture from a parallel universe collision, the implications are the same: we are no longer the sole arbiters of what is possible in this cosmos. This realization brings with it a terrifying but necessary humility. Humanity has spent its existence trying to find its place in the universe, often assuming we were at the center of the story. The Boötes Void reminds us that we might be ants stumbling onto a power grid, observing the final activation of a system that has been under construction for billions of years. The fact that our instruments have reached the sophistication to detect these signatures just as the void enters its final phase of development is a coincidence of staggering proportions, or perhaps the ultimate test of our readiness to join a larger reality. The cosmic wound is opening. As the signals intensify and the geometric lattice self-corrects into its final optimal configuration, we must ask ourselves how we will respond. Do we reach out into the darkness attempting to communicate with the architects of the void, or do we maintain our silence in the hope that we remain beneath their notice? There is no consensus among the scientific community, only a growing sense of urgency as the countdown to maturity nears its conclusion. The future of humanity may well be defined by how we navigate this threshold, moving from a species that simply watches the sky to one that understands the infrastructure of the stars. In the end, the Boötes Void teaches us that emptiness is never truly empty. Within the silence of the abyss lies a symphony of energy and intent. Within the darkness lies a blueprint for a new understanding of physics and existence. As we conclude this investigation, let us carry forward the awe and the caution that this great mystery demands. The universe is waking up, and we are the first to witness its dawn. The Boötes Void is not just a hole in space, it is a window into what comes next. Our story is just beginning, and the void is where we will find our answer. The Boötes Void stands as the ultimate testament to the fragility of our scientific certainty. For eons, we perceived the cosmos as a predictable tapestry governed by gravity, yet this 330 million light-year expanse of nothingness reveals a hidden orchestrated reality that defies every law we hold dear. The discovery of the geometric lattice, the rhythmic 1.4 GHz broadcasts, and the impossible thermal extraction at 456 degrees suggest that the void is not a graveyard, but a functioning machine of staggering proportions. We are no longer mere observers of a passive universe, we are witnesses to an awakening. As the signal strength intensifies, and the 60 captive galaxies drift into their final optimal positions, we must face the reality that a billion-year engineering project is nearing its conclusion. Whether this structure is a bridge to a parallel dimension, a relic of a multi-universe collision, or the infrastructure of an unfathomable intelligence, it signals the dawn of a new era. The Boötes Void has shown us that the great nothing is brimming with intent, and as the countdown to the singularity enters its final phase, the universe as we know it is about to change forever.